welcome to Homework Nightly, featuring Reading Recap. 3 burning questions. And your vocabulary word of the day. And your guest host, Guy Montag. Even now, he could feel the start of the long journey, the leave-taking, the going away from the self he had been. Oh, hi there, class. I'm Guy Montag, and I will be your guest host tonight. I had just finished reading our assigned reading for the day. I trust that you have done the same. If not, pause this video and go do it right now. You won't get anything out of this unless you have already read the material. So I'll wait. Go ahead. Go on. Read. Okay. So, as our reading starts out today on page 95, we read from 95 to 105. So on page 95, as we start out, I have just arrived home, and Mildred has invited 2 of her friends over, Mrs. Phelps and Mrs. Bowles. Now, as soon as they get there, they decide to go into the living room and start watching television. I decide, well, I'm going to turn off the television, and I go in, and I decide to start having conversation with them. They aren't very happy with me for turning off the television, but I really don't care. So they start talking about politics because they know I love politics. But they were talking about the last presidential election and how they chose their presidential candidate based upon appearance. That's not how it should be. They started talking about their families and about the war, and I just was having none of it. I was getting angry. So I left, and I came back, and I had my poetry book. And you should have seen the look on Mildred's face. She was quite upset with me. She didn't want me to get into trouble. She didn't want the other ladies to go in and tell on us. I had Faber in my earpiece, and he was in total agreement with Mildred. Mildred made up a lie about how every year I get to bring home 1 book, and we get to read from it, just to show how ridiculous it all is. Faber told me I should probably play along with that lie. I didn't want to. I was angry. I wanted to show them a lesson. But I did it to please Mildred. So I started reading a poem. And as soon as I finished reading the poem, Mrs. Phelps starts crying. Mrs. Bowles says that it's the evilness of the book that's causing her to cry. After they left, Mildred wasn't happy, and I felt guilty about that. I had to think about some things. I had to think about what all of this was about. So I went to the fire station to mull some things over, Faber in my ear talking to me, and I thought about how things would be. And that's how our reading ends for today. So now that we have an idea of how the reading went about for this specific assignment, I have 3 burning questions for you. You don't need to write any answers down. I just want you to think about them. I want you to think about their greater role in the book. I'm not just asking them for a 1-word answer, a 1-sentence answer. I want you to think about their greater relevance in regards to the book. So, my first question, why did I turn off the TV? How does that play into the book? Question's right below if you need to read it. Why did I turn off the TV? My second question for you is, what poem did I read? And why did I choose that poem? Think about that. Think about why I specifically chose to read that poem. I could have chose any poem in in my entire book, but I chose that poem. Why? Number 3, as I was headed to the firehouse at the very end of our reading, what was I thinking about? Can you make a prediction about what might happen based upon what I was thinking? All right, so those are your 3 questions. I want you to think about them. Tomorrow, there will be a discussion on them in class. So be prepared, because you're going to have to answer some things. I also want you to write 3 questions of your own, and I actually want you to physically do this. I want you to write them down. You will be turning this in tomorrow. So I want you to write these 3 questions down that you come up with. It could be anything. You might know the answer. You might not know the answer. But please write 3 questions from our assigned reading, from pages 95 to 105 in the book. Now, that leads us to our vocabulary word of the day. And today's vocabulary word of the day is melancholy. And we find melancholy on page 102. It is in our poem. And it reads, "But now I only hear its melancholy, long, with drawing roar, retreating to the breath of the night wind, down the vast edges drear, and naked shingles of the world." So that is used actually in the book. Now, here's the definition. Get out our dictionary. And there, I take that off. Can't open books with these gloves on. So melancholy. Melancholy is causing or tending to cause sadness or depression of mind or spirit. You can see that word directly below, right there. I want you to write that word down in your vocab notebook. We will refer back to it later. Now, in addition to this one word that I have chosen for you, I want you to come up with one word in our reading that you are unfamiliar with before reading today. I want you to write that word down, and I want you to define it. I also want you to use it in a sentence. Don't use the sentence that's in the book. I want you to create your own sentence using it as an example. Tomorrow we will share this word with the entire class, so be prepared for that. I need you to do that work. So, as a recap of what I want for you tomorrow, first, I want you to think about the 3 burning questions. Second, I want you to write 3 of your own questions. Third, write down the word melancholy in your vocabulary notebook. And 4, come up with your own word from the reading. I want you to define that and bring it to class tomorrow. So bring your questions, your 3 questions that you create in that word, and be prepared to share them. That is all I have for you today. Thank you for allowing me to be your guest host. And until next time.